with bizarre statement. BJP leader Vinay Katiyar now claims Taj Mahal was a Shiva temple captured by Shah Jahan. It was then called the Tejo temple. Political war intensifies. The Congress now attacks the Bharatiya Janata Party, alleges corporate-sponsored 70 trips that Modi undertook as Gujarat Chief Minister. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate confronts arms dealer Bhandari with free ticket for Vadra proof. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Adityanath's decision to celebrate Diwali with 1.7 lakh diyas in Ayodhya evokes sharp political reactions even as Yogi eyes Guinness Book of World Records. It's a big volte-face by Kamal Hassan on Notbandi after praising the Prime Minister for his guts to carry out demonetization. The actor now regrets supporting the drive, admits there were problems with its implementation, the poor have suffered. He now says he will salute the Prime Minister if he apologizes for the note ban. Indian markets end somewhat 27th at 3 on a high, gains 18% in 1 year. Nifty manages to cross the historical 10,200 mark. Market veteran on ET now help you build a portfolio which shines in the new Samvat, which begins tomorrow. India is a country of entrepreneurs and the government should continue to incentivize them, says Vedanta staff boss Anil Agarwal in an exclusive interaction with your channel right here. He stresses that corporates need to be profitable for sustainable growth and that making money should be regarded not as a sin. India can help United States keep an eye on Pakistan, as Nikki Haley, the US ambassador to the United Nations, says US also seeks better relations with India to counter terror in Afghanistan and the South Asia region. The Chinese President Xi Jinping heralds a new era in its nation's politics, lays the roadmap for 2050, says China will rise on the global stage and allay fears of an economic slowdown. Chinese President also projects himself as the messiah of free trade and denounces rising protectionism. Good evening. This is the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Srinath, and before we go any further, from the entire team here at ET Now, we wish you and everybody who means to you an extremely happy, safe and a prosperous Diwali and a very, very good New Year. So it is time for Diyas and sweets and festive cheer galore, but is it a good Diwali for the Indian economy as well? Are retailers rejoicing? Are consumers out in full force? Are manufacturers making merry? Has the festival fueled the much needed fortune for stakeholders is really the big question. In our second series of the Diwali Mood Check, a dipstick survey on consumer sentiment still throws up a mixed bag. Consumers may be getting back the picture this Diwali is distinctly different, however, for organized and the unorganized retail. So does pain still persist from GST disruption, or have we put it behind us? Is confidence returning once again? That and a lot more on Diwali Mood Check this evening on the India Development Debate. Like I said, let's take this forward with a very special panel here. Maithili Busnurmat, our consulting editor, joins us. Viren Shah, President Federation of Retail Traders Welfare Association. Amit Sinha, Chief Operating Officer, Paytm Mall. Nilesh Gupta, MD, Vijay Sales. And of course, the man who knows it all, Arvind K. Singhal, CMD, Technopack Advisors, right here. Thanks each one of you for being with us. And Nilesh Gupta, I'm really going to begin with you because you in some sense will reflect the sales that have been done or those haven't been done, and what is the real comparison. A day before Diwali, if I were to ask the MD of Vijay Sales, what have sales been like this Diwali, and especially compared to the previous Diwali? Are people coming out and buying? Is there a subdued sentiment? How does this all compare vis-a-vis the year before? What have sales really looked like? Nilesh Gupta.
First and foremost, a very happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year's to everyone, all the viewers also. And as far as the demand for this Diwali is concerned, I think it has I would not only say last 2-3 days, but from last weekend and this weekend which passed by, and we had the Dhanteras also, the demand for consumer durable has been looking very good. We were also a little doubtful in the beginning of the month whether this Diwali will pan out like all Diwalis, because one thing for consumer durable we have to see is during the June 2017, because of the GST, pre-GST, there was a huge uptake in sales. In fact, at that time I had always said that we did one Diwali in June itself. But surprisingly, from the last 2 weekends, the sales have picked up. Looking at Dhanteras also yesterday, overall we are seeing that at the end of the month, compared to last Diwali, we should end up with anywhere around 15% of growth, which is a very, very good figure considering that it's a year-on-year growth which is happening for the last 3 years.
Okay, this sounds like a robust, good picture as far as Vijay sales and at least that ilk is concerned. I'm going to take this across to Viren Shah. And Viren, you know, we had this chat earlier yesterday where we did it with the politicians, and today we've got people from your community. We've got retailers, we've got an expert like Arvind Singhal, we've got an economist like Maithili Busnur. But I'm going to still ask you that question. Will you still stand by the fact that sales are contracting by 36%? Because look at what some of your industry cousins are saying. I mean, the point that Nilesh Gupta is making. Sales have been robust this Diwali and they've only gone up.
First of all, again, happy Diwali to all of you. I'm happy that Mr. Gupta is enjoying his 15% increase in the compared to the last year. But it's very difficult to judge according to one person to another person. Maybe Vijay says is doing a lot of marketing and advertising, and it's a product which is a very, very highly marketed product. So I'm sure there must be some kind of advantage to them. But otherwise, I still stick to my stand. Compared to the Diwali, what we used to have, the traders across the board, all over India, have faced quite a deep, upsetting fall in their sales. Barring last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, people have started moving. Again, Monday, Tuesday, it's getting a little slower. Better than the other weeks, but it is not at its best. I can only say that the business is down by 30 to 20%, and before say last weekend, business was down by 40 to 50%. When the demonetization announced, business was down by 70%. It picked up, and in January, February, it was down by 15 to 20%. Again, when the GST announced, obviously because of the slack time, business were down. Overall, for last 1 year, the trend is very, very disappointing. Mainly to reason is the demonetization and the GST, I can say. And I don't think this is a fight between unorganized or organized sector. I can only say this is a very, very tough competition between online players and the offline players, that is the retailers, we and the online players. And I'm sure Mr. Gupta will also agree with me that online people, because of that cutthroat competition, they are taking away a lot of our share.
You know, I will have an entire segment dedicated to online versus offline, and if they've really taken away your business, and is that reflecting in slower sales. But before I take this across to Arvind Singhal, I'm going to get a quick word in from Amit Sinha. And I mean, you know, you are the man who's perhaps funding this entire thing in a lot of ways, because people believe, you know, cash is less, people are transacting more on Paytms. What has the trend been? What has your experience really been this Diwali? Has it been subdued? Has this been lower at least than expectations? Because festival is supposed to fuel this bonanza, fuel demand, you know, that kind of value creation really during festivals. What has the experience of Paytm been at this point in time?
So first of all, I would like to wish Happy Diwali to you and your viewers. You know, for us, it has been a great Diwali. In fact, we have seen a very significant and robust growth, both in terms of the footfalls that we have had on the app and otherwise, and the kind of business that we have done, and our shop and our partners, both on the brand and the seller and the shopkeeper side, have seen. So in fact, for us, the unique thing is that a lot of the like 100% of the sales on our platforms are done by shopkeepers and sellers who have a shop in the offline world. So in fact, the success parameter for us is how much of a growth has the shopkeeper or the seller actually seen in terms of his business growing. And in that, we have seen that a large number of shopkeeper partners have gone ahead and seen at least anywhere from 10 to going up to 30-35% of increase in the sales by partnering with us and on our platform. So from our perspective, I think we have the whole business has seen a very good uptake from whatever we had been doing in the past, and it has been a great Diwali that way.
Okay, so it has been a great Diwali. Say two people on the panel. One is, Mr. Gupta of Vijay Sales, and the other is Mr. Sinha of Paytm. But the truth has to lie somewhere in between because the traders are an upset lot. They believe sales are down by 30%. I'm at least hopeful that that number has gone down from 36 to 40 that was being initially spoken about. Where does the truth lie, Mr. Singhal? And you will be able to put this all in perspective. Where does the truth lie? Does the truth lie in the fact that sales are contracting and this is a precarious situation? Diwali hasn't played out, or the festival season hasn't played out as expected, or does the truth lie with organized retail and players like Paytm?
Very happy Diwali to all of you. First and foremost, let us talk about overall consumer spending. I don't want to get into the discussion at this time on organized versus unorganized. But the fact is that the consumer spending actually has been very robust almost since June, like Mr. Gupta said from Vijay Sales. Most consumer product manufacturers have seen a very good sales in the month of June in anticipation of the disruption being caused by GST, and therefore a lot of discounting happened and a lot of promotions happened. But if you were to look beyond the channel of selling, just about every category of consumer spending has shown, even in September, very, very good sales. You look into automobiles, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, absolutely booming compared to last year. Even it's not just 1 week or 1 month. Overall, for the second quarter numbers have been very encouraging for all auto companies. Consumer electronic, consumer durables, and Vijay Sales is one of the bellwether. Mobile telephones, year-on-year growth is almost about 30% on smartphones. That is also consumer spending. Clothing companies, footwear, and I have some access to data for some of the large companies for which the year is ended on 30th of September. Each one of them I know of is showing a growth of 10 to 15% compared to last year. So I really do not think there is any contraction as far as consumer spending goes at all. Now, if consumer spending this Diwali versus last Diwali, if there is a change, I don't have that detailed data yet. But let us not forget that over the number of years now, last 8 or 10 years, the Diwali impact per se on consumer buying has actually been reducing, barring the few categories which are directly linked to festival spending, namely food, alcohol, certain amount of clothing and gifting as well. So the consumers also do not now wait for only Diwali to come before they open their purses. Anytime a good deal comes to them or they need a product, they are happy to buy it. And we will see next year as well that the impact of Diwali per se on spending would be lesser. But overall consumer spending is very well tracking the economic growth in the country there. So I don't see any reason for any doomsday scenario that there has been a decline in consumer spending or that general trade, which is still almost about 90% of the overall retail channel in India, have any reason to worry about.
Fair point indeed. So consumer spending has been robust according to Arvind Singhal, but Maithili, do you essentially agree with that because you track the macro data? And is this all adding up to the macro data? Yes, IIP has been good, 4.3%, manufacturing has picked up at 3.1%, but do you essentially believe that this sentiment is adding up on the macro numbers?
Well, not as yet, but there are indications that we are slowly coming out of the trough, Supriya, because as you see, your panel is divided 3:1, and 3 people feel that Diwali this year was better than last year. Diwali last year was the 30th of October, that is before demonetization. If despite that, Diwali this year is better than last year, then clearly we have reason to believe that what these people are saying, what your panelists are saying, because they are people with their feet on the ground, and if they are seeing a very strong recovery, then it's surely only a matter of time before these get reflected in the macro numbers. And that is what is very heartening, because anecdotal evidence is never entirely reliable. It's always a mixed bag. So far, macroeconomic data as per GDP numbers has not reflected the gain. But from what we are seeing from IIP, core sector, exports, etc., we are at the beginning of a recovery, and that is clearly backed by your panelists.
That's a fair point indeed. And I'm going to talk about the beginning of a recovery and what sort of a recovery will this be in a moment from now. But Nilesh Gupta, because enough has been written and said about the organized versus the unorganized, and even the panel, like Maithili pointed out, there is very vertically divided. There's 3:1. 3 people believe Diwali has been better. Mr. Shah, of course, chooses to differ. But Nilesh Gupta, is this also because of the whole difference that lies between organized and unorganized? It looks like the pain still persists for the unorganized sector, both from demonetization and the GST, like Viren Shah was pointing out there, the figures that he's giving, that sales did by 70%, then they went up, then because of the GST they came down again, just about begin to pick up, and then they're down again. So, you know, does the pain persist actually for the unorganized sector, and the organized has been able to weather the storm, so to say, and that is where the distinction really is this Diwali?
See, I'll tell you, now if you ask me about the industry, there are 3 retailers which are very prominent. One is the online retailers, then the organized retailers, and organized retailers as well as the chain, city chain retailers. And then third is the very unorganized small retailers. Now, as far as very small organized retailers are there, unorganized retailers are there, most of them, if you have seen, they have got aligned with 1 or 2 brands. They have either opened the brand Shopee of some brand or only a mobile thing. So, I think they are also reasonably doing well, but yes, the ones who have not changed themselves, they would be struggling, and that's how the market is going around. But as far as organized retail is concerned, and I feel the Diwali has been good. See, what we have to see in the overall perspective is the consumer demand for consumer durable has been quite good, and there are 3-4 reasons for that. Primarily, one, if you will see the share of advertisement voice which you see in newspaper print or in televisions or in hoardings, anywhere you see, I think the consumer durable has the largest share, whether be it mobile advertisement, be it the television advertisement or air conditioners advertisement, and even the retailers, the organized retailers have been advertising a lot. So, I think that's one thing which is fueling the demand for consumer durables. Another reason is now consumer durable is no longer a luxury, and there's a lot of technology changes which happen. So, everybody is interested to upgrade the technology and upgrade the consumer durables, which they already had purchased 1 year, 2 years or 3 years back. That's the second reason. And I think the third major reason which I feel is the easy EMI facilities which are there on the table for the consumers.
Indeed, I'll take on the EMI and I'll take on the technology upgradation in just a bit, but I do want to spend some more time on this distinction between organized and unorganized retail, and is that the difference in the mood of the 2 camps really, Mr. Singhal?
Not really, because like I just said, the unorganized sector accounts still for almost 90% of consumer spending. So if the entire unorganized sector was actually struggling, there is no way the growth would be there for any company, because finally, whether you look into Hindustan Lever, you look into Voltas, Blue Star, you look into any category of manufacturer, each one of them is selling through unorganized and organized. And their quarterly numbers do not reflect any kind of a contraction in their dispatches to the trade channel. So I don't believe that even the unorganized sector is struggling, simply because the share is so predominant even today in favor of unorganized, as we call it, that there's bound to be consumer uptake from there as well. So I do not know where this number is coming about contraction of 25% or 30%, because it would straight away flow up into the results of all consumer product companies, but that is not the case.
Viren Shah, I'm sure you have a point of view and you would want to respond to that statement, that numbers somehow don't add up to that contraction that traders are talking about.
See, right now there are mainly 3 players are there in the market. One player is unorganized sector. Second player is organized, which is around 7 to 8%, and online player, which is really giving a tough time for the organized sector, not much to the unorganized sector, but they are giving tough time to the organized sector, because organized sector, I'm mainly talking about people who are in the mall. They are the mainly people are affected. Let's not take only for Diwali and otherwise also malls are actually in all over India is a dying business. still the people who have survived today is the unorganized sector. Now coming back to the thing is that, yes, I agree, because unorganized sector is such a widely spread across India, it is very difficult to judge which part of the unorganized sector is doing bad and which part of the unorganized doing is better. Now again, unorganized sector is again divided into many things, like a kirana stores are there, standalone stores are there, standalone big format stores are there. These are again comes under the unorganized sector, and the organized sector is mainly located in the mall. So there are fights between the three players. The major fights are there between the organized sector and the online players. So unorganized sector, there is no big fight. Now if I understand correctly, the what kind of figures which we have through the panel and through otherwise, online player is number one, because there are only few people who are doing online, and majority of the company are doing cutthroat competition. If we traders, we get some 5,000-6,000 crore rupees to play with the market, we can give away free of charges lot of things, but because of the cutthroat competition, they are playing with the prices, and today that's the reason their net loss is mounting up to 3,500 to 5,000 crore rupees. Whereas these monies are normally either the investment bankers or capital investment people bring the investments into it, or the loan. Now again, the unorganized sector working on a very, very limited budget. They are mainly their own money they put into the market. They have the business where they are very calculative, they do the business, and once the GST is announced, it's a biggest disadvantage for the unorganized sector. I'll tell you why. Because in the government has said that there won't be more than 18% of the GST, but 18 and 28% is really making a big difference, because the investment in the stocks we have to pay upfront, and the goods are not sold for 3 to 6 months. That's the reason unorganized sector is really playing really hard, because they are very calculated. They do not put a lot of money because it's their own hard-earned money, and they don't take loans from the bank. And this is the I think these are the mainly factors which are affecting the unorganized sectors.
I somehow don't get a pulse on the issue. I mean, what is the issue? The issue is GST or is the issue online? I will come back to you in a moment from now. But Amit Sinha, I want you to come in on this, you know, because Paytm operates across the spectrum. What is the trend that you are seeing?
So from a trend perspective, as I said, we have seen a lot of the shopkeepers have been seeing good results by listing on our platform and doing transactions through our platform. And one of the reasons also is the fact that we did help out a lot of the shopkeepers and the sellers who are there on our platform to get acquainted with the GST and help them with the whole systems and processes in place. So that did help a lot of our shopkeepers and seller partners. And we do work very closely and collaboratively with all our shopkeepers and the seller partners. And that way, in fact, we are a bit different also from other online retail players, because we don't call us as a retail player. We are more of a commerce platform player, where we expect all our shopkeeper and seller partners to come over and sell through our platform to the larger consumer base, whether in the online or on the offline world. And as part of our value addition, we bring in all the kind of offers, the kind of loans, cashback offers, insurance, and all kinds of relevant products and technology platform for the shopkeepers to ensure that they are more effectively reaching out to their consumers, and in the process driving in the efficiencies in the whole value chain. And then that value that is incrementally getting added is split between the consumers and the shopkeeper partners and us and the brands. So from our perspective, I think we have seen a good, as I was saying, a good Diwali, and also most of the shopkeeper partners that we have been utilizing the platform in a very good way to increase their business. So and rightly, as another panelist pointed out, there are shopkeepers who are more aggressive in terms of getting their digitizing themselves and learning in the new tricks of the trade and making the most of it. So a large number of shopkeepers have seen a great improvement, and we firmly believe that the majority of the shopkeepers and the retailer partners that we have will see incrementally more business coming to them, both from a combined offline and online play.
Okay, Mr. Sinha, just hold on, because I want to get this to Nilesh Gupta, and I'm going to spend some time here. We will talk about the GST and its impact both on organized, unorganized, and what has it done to sales really. Nilesh Gupta, given the numbers that you rattled in the beginning about 15% growth and how this Diwali has been better than last, are you here suggesting, and you perhaps agree with the Department of Economic Affairs Secretary when he said that the temporary disruptive effect of GST is perhaps behind us? Will you agree with that, that the pain of the GST, at least for a sector like yours, the organized players, the big retail, is behind us really?
Yes, I would definitely say that whatever disruption, little disruption was caused post GST implementation for the 30 to 45 days, I think we have moved out of it, and that's behind us. And I think it's normal business as usual.
Okay, so it's business as normal for usual, but I'm going to take this to Arvind Singhal. And Arvind Singhal, what has been your your assessment? The GST is perhaps a reform that India does need, but given the fact that it's got these multiple slabs, given the fact that there is a lot of compliance that has to be done, and tweaking is still very much on, which is actually a good thing because the government is keeping its ears close to the ground. What is your assessment? Are businesses finally coming to terms with the GST? Are the initial teething troubles going away? Is that pain, is that disruptive initial pain behind us? How are you assessing that?
So I certainly agree with Mr. Gupta as well that I think GST is something which has been projected like a demon, which continues to cause disruption, which is not the case. There was certainly a disruption in the last quarter, ended 30th of September. Most companies, most ecosystems, if I may say so, have adjusted to that. There might be still some lingering problems, but they're not something which is to be really concerned or worried about. At the beginning of the panel also it was stated about demonetization. I just wanted to make this point that as per RBI data, the economy is fully recapitalized as far as cash is concerned. So cash is available in the hands of the consumers. There is no impact anymore, residual or otherwise, of demonetization. The same thing is the case with GST as well, that majority of businesses have adjusted to the new regime, and by and large, I think whatever the clinks were there in terms of getting some kind of a input credit or working capital issues, at least for small traders and businesses, in any case, that has also been taken care of very recently. So I personally think that this quarter, or October to December quarter, would probably see the last of any negative impact of GST, and it should be business as usual for just about every retail business in this country.
I'm tempted to take this to Maithili to get her opinion on the economy at large on this issue, but I will take this to Viren Shah because at least the traders have been very upset with the GST. And how would you respond to some of what Mr. Singhal or Nilesh Gupta just said, that the teething troubles perhaps are over, and with all these tweaks, things are getting back on track? Will you agree at least on the fact that the government is tweaking because it's perhaps open to feedback? And what are the other changes that you would want? Because enough tweaks have been done, and enough respite has been given at least to the small and medium enterprises.
Well, I'm happy for other panelists who are happy, but I think they are mainly a part of the organized sectors. I'm the only one who's actually representing unorganized sector. I wish you had some more people from organized sector, from a different products like from a kirana or otherwise, so that there will be an equal number of representation in the debate. Right now, I am just talking on behalf of the unorganized sector, which is around 90%, which is quite a big number of percentage in our Indian economy. As I said yesterday also, the BJP government is very, very flexible. They are ready to listen to the people. They are concerned. Mr. Prime Minister himself is concerned. We as a traders, first of all, let me tell, that we were very, very supportive with the government from the day BJP has come into the power. If it is a demonetization or the GST, both the time the traders have welcomed the decision. Even for demonetization, we thought that actually government is really going after the black marketeers, but unfortunately they didn't work. Secondly, even for the GST, we thought that prices of the products will reduce and everything will come on, everybody will come under the tax bracket, which is a welcome decision because it's a progress of the country and we all were ready to do that. But the moment we realized, when we got deep into it, we realized that most of the products prices are not reduced, but prices have increased, because what happened is that earlier there was a stages where the excise was there, or octroi was there, or VAT was there. So there was a stages wise the tax were levied. But now at one go, when you come with the 18 and 28%, which nowhere in the world such kind of GST is there, that's where the government has failed. And I still advise the government on behalf of the unorganized sector, we are all for GST. Nobody is against the GST. Maybe the politician, opposition party can say anything, but if the country's progress is concerned, G has to come into GST, has to be there in the system. Everybody should be brought under the tax regime. Everybody should start paying the income tax and the GST. Only issue is that the tax bracket has to be brought down under the reasonable amount. This is my suggestion is there. Rest of the things, I think we can fight with the organized sector, we can fight with the online players, because I know after all how much are they going to survive. At the end of the day, investors are not going to give them money when every year they come out with 3,500 to 4,000 crores of rupees of loss. So I advise all my shopkeepers who are watching this channel to have patience. We all unorganized sectors are going to survive compared to organized sector and the online players. We will survive because this is our hard-earned money and we will survive.
Indeed, you will survive, and wish you all the very best with that. But Maitri, I want to spend some time with you talking about the impact of the GST, and you know, when 5.7% came in, or when things faltered, everybody blamed that this happened due to anticipation of the GST. It started with its own sets of disruptions, but of course there have been many tweaks that have been made ever since. Given these tweaks, and given the fact that some of the organized players are saying that we are now, you know, in sync with the GST, of course the unorganized still, and many others, I mean not just unorganized, many others believe it can be far more simplified, the rates perhaps need to be down. How much more pain do you believe the GST will emanate on the economy at large, and especially given the fact that, and especially given the whole unorganized sentiment right now, how much of an impact do you believe this is having from an economic point of view this Diwali?
Well, Supreme, just before I answer your question on the economic impact, I'd just like to address the issue of, you know, why is it that the traders are saying there's so much pain when the entire organized sector representative by three of our panelists say that there is really no such pain, and the unorganized sector is also doing quite well, because they're tied up with the organized sector. I think if I could just hazard a guess, I think the pain would be felt more by the traders who are dealing in non-consumer durable goods. Consumer durables, we really do not find too much of sales happening through the unorganized sector. It is in consumer non-durables that the unorganized sector, the small kirana shop, the small trader has a much bigger role and a much bigger share, I would say. So I think even if you look at traders and you were to kind of distinguish between those who are dealing in consumer durables and non-consumer durables, you would find perhaps that those who are dealing in the non-consumer durables, they are the ones who are feeling the pain more. As far as your second question on GST, whether the pain is entirely over, I think to the extent that the latest GST Council meeting has addressed many of the pains of the small traders, the small businessmen, A, by raising the composition fee to 1 crore, secondly by raising it to 1 quarterly reporting, quarterly payment of tax to 1.5 crores, deferring the reverse charge mechanism. I think these are all all, again, e-way bill, I think these will all go a long way towards easing the pain. And as Mr. Shah said, it's not as if the small trader, the small businessman is against GST. It is that he is just having problems coming to terms with the procedural formalities, the entire issue of, being familiar with computerization, online filing. These are all issues, I think, which will take time. So surely, even though we saw 5%, 5.7% in the first quarter, I am very hopeful that as time goes by, if not the second quarter, certainly the third and fourth quarter should see a recovery in the economy. We are already seeing a recovery on almost all the macroeconomic fundamentals, whether it is GDP, not so much GDP, IIP, core sector growth, inflation, exports. So I think we are already seeing the beginning of the uptrend, and as the pain eases, we will see the economy doing better and better. The stock market, of course, is way ahead. We've seen both the Sensex and the Nifty race ahead, even though there's been a small correction today. So I am hopeful that the pain that the small and unorganized sector is feeling in GST will be eased as the government reaches out more and more, and at the next meeting on Guwahati, maybe some more of the problems will be eased, and that will make the small sector more happy.
Arvind Singhal, I want you to comment on the impact of the GST, and Maithili is right in saying that, Q1 of course may have been hit because of disruption. Q2, we may see some amount of easing, but the real impact and the real pain will really ebb as far as Q3 is concerned. Do you essentially agree with that? And and are you someone who believes that the GST has had a role at all this Diwali?
Just about every consumer product company, big or small, they finally use all the channels, organized, unorganized, online, offline. None of the companies whose results have already come out as far as September ending is concerned have shown any kind of a negative impact. In fact, they've all shown growth year on year in the numbers which have been announced, and more numbers will be out in the next 2 weeks' time. Now, if the dispatches are good as far as consumer product companies are concerned, unless somebody is saying that the goods are piling up on the retail channels and not moving at all, which means there is a problem. But there is no excessive stocking which is taking place in the retail channel to the best of my knowledge. So consumers are buying. And if consumers are buying and the manufacturers of consumer products are showing good numbers in terms of their dispatches, it is safe to assume that the negative impact or the disruption because of GST is almost behind us. And whatever might be the lingering effect, it should go away within a month or two. So this current quarter should actually prove it beyond any doubt that the economy is on the mend, and consumer spending, this is what we are talking about, continues to grow in tandem with the overall economic growth.
Nilesh Gupta, let me put this to you, because Vijay Sales does both offline and online. Given the fact that about $3.3 billion worth of sale is expected this festive season alone by e-tailers, what has the experience really been? Is online picking up on, on the fact that offline is looking a little tepid?
There is no doubt that online sales have grown over the last 2 years, and every year, because of the deep discounting which they do get a share of the market, and this share has been growing year on year. But at the same time, also we have to understand one thing. What I feel personally is that the online has also helped us to increase the market size. And definitely there is some traction somewhere in some segments which you will see, like last year it was the mobiles where they had taken a lot of share from the offline retailers. This year they are trying to take a little bit of share from the entry level electronics, if you are talking from a consumer durable point of view. But as far as large appliances are concerned, the premium products are concerned, that definitely still Indian consumers would want to walk in the store and see. Yes, what online has done is possibly is basically it has increased the appetite for buying, because it's always they have a lot of apps through which they do the selling. So everybody is looking at it, and there are still a lot of experiences which have gone sour in the online space. So they have created the demand, and yes, they are also earning and doing sales, but at the same time they are fueling growth at the offline retailers also.
I think the scenario you're painting is that everybody can coexist, but I wonder if Viren Shah agrees with that, and I will go to him in just a moment from now. But Amit Sinha, I want to put this forward to you. Online is looking to do $3.3 billion worth of sales this festive season, which is 50% over and above what it did last festive season. It was $2.2 billion then. Do these numbers tell a story in themselves, and is that the business that has been pulled away from offline?
I would tend to agree with Mr. Gupta there, because if we at Paytm Mall firmly believe that the models will coexist. The shares might change because of the changing consumer behavior and the kind of value add that both the models bring to the table. And as a consumer, the experience has to be seamless across both the online and the offline world, and they will coexist as a model. And rightly pointed out, the growth has been, it's not only the share being taken away from the offline world, there is also a market expansion that is being done quite significantly, and there's a lot of value add that the online, I would say the online mode of discovery and purchase brings to the consumers, and that helps in increasing the kind of business that or the total volume of the business that is being done in the country at large. And from our experience of running a pure marketplace, where at the end of the day it's the local shopkeepers and the retailers who are actually fulfilling the orders and delivering to the consumers through our logistics partner and our platforms. What we have seen is that even our offline partners have seen a increase in the sale volume that they would have otherwise done or vis-a-vis last year, and that benefit has accrued to them of being digitally enabled and being able to sell through the online platforms. And this is across. See, the other thing that that I would like to say is that Paytm Mall is a horizontal portal with both consumer goods, durables, and the FMCG kind of products and the fashion products being sold. And we have seen that the growth has been there across the segments. As rightly pointed out, it has been led by mobiles as a category, because native digital users tend to come more from smartphones as compared to any other category. But now we are definitely moving on to a large number of different categories, going beyond the pure mobile play and looking at appliances and solving a lot of pain points there for the offline retailer also, in terms of having a larger SKU being available to the consumer in each of those shops.
I'm going to borrow a line from Sholay, and instead of Holi, I'll just say Diwali ke din dil mil jate hain. Viren Shah ji, will offline and online coexist?
See, online players are definitely biggest competition as on today for everybody, organized sector as well as the retailers, all the kinds of format, because their overheads are higher, their staff expenses, everything is high. Their margin, they have to cop up with that, and their margin now has really wiped out because of the online players. Today consumer is king, they are the smartest, they are the most intelligent consumers out there in the market. They go with the mobile, they go with the price of Amazon, and they go with the price of the Flipkart and Snapdeal and everything. They go and enter the shop of Vijay Sales. They say, okay, this is the price of Amazon is giving. Are you ready to give? Then Vijay Sales also actually have to match the prices of the online, but they ensure that their customer doesn't go. So I'm sure Mr. Gupta will agree that there are a lot of things are now changed because of the online players. The consumer being a king, they can actually dictate the terms, and they come with the mobile phone with the prices of particular Sony TV or a Samsung TV or electronic markets. Completely everything, every branded out products today is been really having a tough competition with the online players. I can say this is not a very fair way of doing a business. I'm not talking about consumers' point of view. I'm talking about traders' point of view. I'm talking about every other businessman point of view, because when you have a retail showroom, when you have a showroom in mall, Your overheads, your rentals, your electricity, your staff, your marketing, everything is higher. And these people coming and doing an unfair trade practice where their businesses losses are mounting in crores and thousands of crores of rupees at the end of the year. And margins has been taken away by this player because their overheads are less, and plus they have the investors are lined up, queued up to give the money. They'll get 3,000 crores, they'll get 8,000 crores. So they have the amount lying with them. Now the investors have started asking questions, where is the profit? When the profit is going to come? And this is where I am waiting for that day. Why there are only 5, 6, 4 players? Because the two big online players are merging into one. There are only 2 or 3 online players which are trying to take away the 90% of the unorganized sectors and the organized sector, which is not going to happen if we have the patience.
You know, okay, I get your point there, and I get some of your angst as well. But you know, I'm going to take quick closing comments, and Arvind Singhal, I'll begin with you. The reality really is that whether it's sales that's happening online or whether it's happening offline, there is a consumer story to tell. And do you believe the festive season began with a little bit of gloom? People were apprehensive, GST wasn't playing out as expected. But now that we are in the thick of things here, a day before Diwali, on the Diwali Eve, do you believe confidence has indeed returned?
Absolutely no doubt about that. Consumer spending has been quite robust, and I see no reason why it will not continue to grow over the next months and coming quarters. So I think that we are on a good wicket as far as consumer spending is concerned, and I still believe that all the 3 channels, unorganized, organized, offline and online, all of them are actually going to grow without being at the cost of each other, because as long as the economy is growing, consumer spending is growing, there is no real reason to worry about each other. I think there's enough for all the channels to take share away.
Okay, enough for every channel to take share away. Do hold your thoughts there, because I'm going to get in Maithili Busnurmat with a quick last comment there, Maithili, and I think I'll let you have the last word. I've completely run out of time here on this edition of the India Development Debate. When we talk next on the IFE numbers, or when we talk next on the growth, you know, the GDP growth numbers, do you believe Diwali would have played out well?
I would think so, Supriya. I agree with Mr. Singhal that as long as the economy is growing, there's space for every kind of format. Because remember, in India, there are many people who do not have access to online. So there will be space for online, there will be space for offline, there will be space for the unorganized. And remember, there were fears that GST would push up prices. But from what we've seen of the latest inflation numbers, inflation, if at all, has either remained stable at the CPI number or has come down at the WPI index. So clearly, consumers' fears have been set at rest. And I do hope the third and the fourth quarter will kind of ensure that the Diwali cheer spreads to beyond the second and third quarter, well into the next year as well. And with that, it's a very happy Diwali to all our viewers.
Indeed, it's a great happy Diwali to all of our viewers. Have a safe Diwali, have a prosperous Diwali, and can't thank this panel enough for taking time out and speaking to us on the Diwali Eve and putting it in perspective. The Diwali Mood Check is what the India Development Debate was all about. Thank you very much, Arvind Singhal, Maithili Busnurmat, Viren Shah, Amit Sinha, and of course Nilesh Gupta for joining us on the India Development Debate this evening. Remember, India has been a consumption-led growth story. Our demographic dividend, our consumption has really been the mainstay of our economy, and we cannot afford to let consumption suffer. Hopefully, Diwali will rev things up. Hopefully, there will be festive cheer, and hopefully, stakeholders will have something to write home about. Thank you very, very much for being with us on this edition of the India Development Debate. We call it a night tonight, but not without wishing all our viewers an absolutely joyous festival.